What's good everybody? Today's video is all about that chest workout at home for men and women, especially if you're a beginner in this fitness process. So if you're a guy who's got that lower chest fat and you want to burn it off, or even if you're a girl who wants to work on your overall strength levels, today's video is for you. Keep in mind, today's video is all about those free body movements, but we will do a few weighted movements. If you have a pair of dumbbells at home, it's great, but even if you don't, that's alright. We're going to be using a school bag as a pseudo weight here. All you need is your regular school bag, put some books inside, and it acts as a pseudo dumbbell. That's all you need. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over the form of the exercises first, and that's when we can actually move on to the workout plan. So let's go. So before we get to the detailed home workout movements, it's important to know that on BeerBiceps, we've already released an intermediate chest workout for gymmers especially. If you want to know the detailed science about chest movements and what different motions do for different parts of your chest, make sure you check out that video. But for now, very quickly, let me take you over the movements. So your chest is primarily worked in two kinds of movements. Anything where you're pushing something away from your body, or anything where you're doing this kind of movement, where you're bringing your arms near each other. That's what uses your chest. This is called a basic fly movement, this is called a basic press movement, and all the movements that we're going to do today are variations of these movements. Starting with the most important chest exercise, we're talking about push-ups. Firstly, the cheater's push-up, where you can't do the regular push-up. This is the form you take. You hinge yourself on your knees, keep your arms shoulder width apart, and just go for it. Very simple form. But what I suggest to anyone chasing fitness goals is that you should be able to execute the regular push-up. So when you're doing your regular push-up, your feet need to be shoulder width apart. But if you're finding this a little bit hard, remember that the wider you keep your feet, the easier the push-up becomes. So don't keep it too wide, but if you're finding shoulder width a little bit difficult, you can make it slightly wider than that. As for arms, this is where it gets a little tricky. Now you need to understand that the wider you keep your arms, the more your pec muscle or your chest muscle is getting worked. The narrower you bring your arms, the more your triceps come into play. The other variation is how you angle your arms with your torso. If you keep a small angle, that means you're working the lower part of your chest more. And the larger the angle, the more you're working the upper part of the chest. Remember, this is a pressing movement that works your chest. This is a pressing movement that works your shoulder. So as you go from this angle to this angle, you're going from the lower part of your chest to the upper part of your chest to your shoulder muscle. But this is a chest workout. You want to hit your chest, and that's why the angle we'll select will be directly under the line of your lower chest. Not too low, not too high. Almost at shoulder width, little bit below that. That's the kind of line we go for. The next precaution is body shape. You just want to keep a bit of a bend at your hip, but the rest of your body, that's from your hip to your ankle and from your hip to your neck, all that should be straight. Your body should be slightly hinged near your bum. So keep your bum slightly raised throughout the movement, but the rest of your body should be rock straight as far as possible. It shouldn't bend, it shouldn't shake, and it shouldn't move. And finally, coming to the most important point when we're talking about any movement when you're doing it at home, a complete range of motion. This means you want to go as low as possible and push up from there. Even if you can do just 1 or 2 reps with a complete range of motion, that's better than doing half reps. And if you want to take your push-up game a little bit further, you can add resistance using your school bag. So just strap on your school bag and perform push-ups with that. Ideally, try to keep the weight of your school bag hinged on your upper back to put maximum pressure on your chest. But now let's move on to the pressing side of things. The press is one of the most classic chest movements that's performed in the gym. There's a decline press, a flat bench press, and an incline press. Once again, the change in this movement is the angle of your arms to your torso. The smaller the angle, the lower it hits your chest. So if you perform a decline press with a small angle, you're hitting your lower chest. If you perform an incline press, you're hitting your upper chest. And if you do a flat press, you're hitting the overall mass of your chest. Now keep in mind, we don't have the luxury of having a bench at home, and that's why we go for our best friend, the bed. Now when you're doing any kind of press movement, any kind of chest movement on your bed, rule number 1 is that you keep your back arched. If you find it comfortable, keep your feet near your bum, and that's when you can perform this movement. Keep in mind, I'm doing this movement at the corner of my bed so that I get an increased range of motion for my arms. So keep your neck slightly hinged, keep your head slightly up, and that's when you can initiate the movement. If you're not finding this comfortable for your neck, put a stool behind your head, rest your head on the stool and perform this movement once again. Remember, the sides of the dumbbell need to hit the sides of your chest, And when you're going up, you want to squeeze your chest just a little bit. And of course, keep in mind you want to go with a full range of motion. Now, if you don't have a dumbbell at home, make sure you use your school bag once again. Try handling the bag such that the weight of the bag is divided into your two hands equally. Once again, go with a complete range of motion. Take the bag as low as it goes and push it as high as it goes with a squeeze at the top of your movement. And that's when you can move on to the fly movements. The chest fly, once again, same precautions as your pressing movements. Keep a slight arch in your lower back. Keep your feet near your bum. And when you're taking your arms down, take them as low as they go to increase the range of motion. At the top, make sure you squeeze a little bit as if you're hugging a firm object like a tree. And also keep in mind, very importantly, that in a chest fly, it's an isolation movement. You're isolating your chest. That means you want to only use your chest alone and no other muscle. So in order to perform an isolation movement fantastically, you need to make sure that the angle of your arm throughout the movement has to stay constant. The only joint that should move is your shoulder joint. So fix an angle, say about 10 to 20 degrees in your arm. Take your arm low and with that same angle, lift it up till the top. Now that's what you do if you have dumbbells at home. But what do you do if you don't have dumbbells? Once again, you can use your bag, but keep in mind that this is an isolation movement. It's a very difficult movement to perform. And very importantly, you gotta make sure that your bag is super light. You shouldn't burn out in 5 or 6 reps of doing this movement. You shouldn't feel any awkward pressure in your shoulder. All the pressure should be targeted towards your chest. So very light pseudo dumbbell, that's your bag, very light bag, and that's when you perform the movement one side at a time. And that's when we can also move to the actual workout plan. Now keep in mind, before getting to the workout plan, you need to remember the concept of failure. I've spoken about this 1,000 times, but I'll say it again. Failure is when you're performing a movement till the point where your body gives up. So say you're performing a push-up and you're pushing till the point where you can't push anymore, that's called going to failure. At home, if you're working out, you do not want to go to failure. You're not some professional bodybuilder who's taking steroids. You're a regular, everyday person. And that's why you want to go to 80% of failure. That means you need to feel a burn in your chest, but you don't want to push your chest to the point where it feels completely burnt out and you have to really struggle to complete that repetition. A workout shouldn't be something where you feel completely exhausted at the end of it. You should only feel a little bit of a burn to initiate that growth of muscle. So let's go over the actual workout plan. Keep in mind, ideally this should be a 15 to 20 minute workout where you take breaks of 30 seconds to a minute, nothing more than that. But also keep in mind, I'm just giving you a blueprint of a workout. I'm assuming that you're gonna work in that 8 to 10 to 12 repetition range. If you can go further than that, if that 8 to 12 range doesn't correspond to 80% of failure for you, take it a little further. Go up to 16 reps, go up to 20 reps. Just make sure you take breaks of 30 seconds in the middle of each workout. And also when it comes to the number of sets to be performed, that's completely up to you. So now that we're done with the precautions, let's start with the workout plan. The workout begins with push-ups, of course. Go about the form I spoke about. You want to perform 3 sets of free body push-ups. If you can't perform your regular push-up, go for your cheaters push-up, what I spoke about initially with your knees hinged. If you can perform your regular push-up, go with it. 80% of failure. Ideally aim for 8 reps in your first set, 10 in your second, and 12 in your third. Also keep in mind that the next 2 or 3 sets we want to do with a little bit of resistance. So you put your bag on, go about doing your weighted push-ups, and once again try hitting that 8 to 12 repetition mark. If you want to make push-ups a little bit harder for yourself and don't want to use your bag, you can also try a push-up where you keep your hands super wide and also keep your legs super narrow. This makes the movement a little bit harder. So first 3 sets easy and basic, next 2 to 3 sets a little bit hard. Throughout the movement, 8 to 12 reps. And that's when we can move on to the pressing movement. So once again, lie down at the corner of your bed and begin the movement. You want to hit 3 sets. Firstly, where you hit 8 reps. Second set, you hit 10 reps. Third set, you hit 12 reps. If you have a bunch of dumbbells at home, then in every subsequent set, increase the weight of the dumbbell. But if you want to increase the weight of just your bag, just add another heavy book into it to make it a heavier pseudo dumbbell. And finally, moving on to the chest fly, same precautions I spoke about and same protocols as we just spoke about in the pressing movements. You do 3 to 4 sets where you progressively increase the weight. If you don't have dumbbells at home, you need to do one side at a time. So right arm once, left arm the next set. That way you'll perform 6 sets, 1 arm each. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Either way, that's pretty much all when it comes to this particular chest workout. keep in mind, if you're someone who's suffering from lower chest fat, it's not gonna go just with the help of this workout. You need to back it up with a clean diet plan. But if you're someone who's just looking to build chest strength, this is your workout plan. Keep in mind, I've covered detailed versions of the gym versions of these particular plans in my Bollywood Body series. And if you're someone who wants to know more about the diet side of things, make sure you follow the BB Summer Weight Loss Diet Plan. Make sure you subscribe to BeerBiceps, and until next time guys, from Ranveer, see you.